cabin. The house is haunted by the echo of your last goodbye. The house is haunted by the memories that refuse to die. I can't get away from a vision that dreams, even with glimpses of infinite things. A voice in my heart like a touch singer sings. I wonder who's kissing her now. The house is haunted by the echo of your favorite song.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back. It's Halloween night, the night you've all been waiting for. Well, at least I hope so. We have some coffee. And we also have our GLP's Quiet Nights and one of my new favorite billiards. You can see it's got a little bit of damage there. You saw in the intro. I didn't pay anything for this pipe. It was actually kind of a gift, but I like it. It's a great pipe, and it really gets the job done. But it's comfortable, and my finger finds that little hole there, and it's actually kind of comfortable. So, you know. Yeah. Well, we're going to get this going. So, dim the lights. Sit back. Have something nice to drink, or even light up one of these if you're so inclined. And enjoy the two stories that I'm going to present to you. The first one is actual accounts of something that I experienced firsthand. And the second story comes from a good close friend. And yeah, I believe him. And I know the people involved in that story and the item in which caused the story to happen. So anyway, without further ado, without giving away too much, let's get going, shall we? Absolutely. So, first story, Celestial Stairs. The time, roughly 2010 or 2011. The place, Catalina Island, city of Avalon, California, United States. Having a musician friend who has a rather well-known 1920s, 30s dance band here in the Los Angeles area, has performed many times for many themed period events and dances. Accomplished pianist and organist, and he invited me to help him set up the band and carry things and kind of be a roadie of sorts to the orchestra for this event known as the Avalon Ball. It's held every year in Avalon at the historic Casino Ballroom on the peninsula just off the side of the city of Avalon. Completed in 1929. This is a beautiful Art Deco marriage of Art Deco and Spanish Revival Mediterranean style. It's a two-story structure. It houses a theater with a genuine Wurlitzer pipe organ, and upstairs, the crowning jewel, the large circular ballroom with vaulted ceiling for perfect acoustic amplification, with a promenade around the exterior so you could walk out and enjoy the vistas in the Pacific Ocean and watch the moon come up. It's beautiful. Truly a paradise. Just 26 miles across the sea from Los Angeles. A little happy spot. Of course, I jumped at the chance because, well, I like Catalina. Yeah, okay, I lied. I love Catalina. I love going at any chance I can get. And the Casino Ballroom is a very special and historic place. Many have traveled there since its completion in 1929 and seen all the best bands, all the great orchestras of the era, clear up into the 1950s and even into the 60s. But this one location has had, if you can think of a famous band from that era, they most likely played there. Including my neighbor growing up. He actually told me stories about going to Catalina and on the steamships, the SS Catalina, the SS Avalon, which were operated by the Wrigley family. Anyway, I'll talk about that more in another video, but we'll get on with the story. So there I was, unloading the boat, the ferry, Catalina Express, with the rest of the band and my friend, the band leader. And we were loading everything up into a van to have it taken to the opposite side from the landing to the peninsula where the ballroom is. And as we got there and we went up the elevator and we started setting everything up on the stage, we got everything ready. And the band was there early for a sound check, and they took their seats and got their instruments out and started sounding their A. And once the sound check was completed, now first, being alone just with the band in this location is a very rare and special opportunity to hear a period-style jazz orchestra acoustically, as they soon will start adding the amplification. Why they do this, I understand why they do it. But sadly, they're missing an opportunity, and I'll explain. Because the vaulted ceiling is balanced. It was designed to amplify the band throughout the building or the upstairs ballroom without the need or aid of speakers. But anyway, it was a beautiful experience to hear that band raw, unplugged for the first song. And after the sound check was done and they dialed everything into their liking, I asked where I could stow my stuff. I had a small suitcase of things I could change into for the actual dance. And that was part of my volunteer work, so I could get to the island and also enjoy the event free of charge. That was a wonderful opportunity. So I was directed to go through a door off the side of the stage, which led to a stairwell, and then a door to the left led to a wing of a hallway with all these dressing rooms. As I walked down the dressing room aisle there, I could see all the doors, and some were actually open, just ajar. It was dark inside. Some have windows that face the exterior of the building, or the Pacific side, or I would say the Los Angeles side technically. But others didn't have windows, so the rooms without windows, it was completely pitch black inside. And the feeling that I got when I was walking through there was a little uncomforting. It was not a warm feeling. I felt like I was being watched, like someone was inside those rooms watching me walk through an area or whatever was there, they claimed as theirs, and I was trespassing in a way. Well, I might have been. I was invited to go there. I was, in all intents and purposes, welcome. Well, I did find a dressing room, and I went in and turned on the light, and it was a well-furnished dressing room, and it was not dilapidated or forlorn or forgotten. It was definitely a room that many entertainers and performers used when they would perform there, up until recent years. So it didn't have a frozen in time type of vibe from that era. So it was not alarming or anything, but everything was nice and clean. They do take very good care of that building, I will say that, and it's definitely a prize of the city of Avalon. So I set down my suitcase and I start just making arrangements and figuring out what time I'm coming back and getting changed for the ball. Well, I had to use the restroom, and as I went into the restroom there, I'm noticing a sound. I'm hearing music, and the music that I'm hearing is that of a theater organ. Now, if you haven't experienced the sound of a theater organ, or the mighty Wurlitzer as it's called, there are definitely many YouTube videos of theater organs, and you can get an idea. But at the end of this video, I will include a sampling of the Wurlitzer being played, and the song that I actually heard, because I did recognize the tune. So stay tuned to the end of the video, and you will see some historic old-time 40s classic Hollywood movie background title card art set to the song that I remember, that I recall being played on a Wurlitzer. Anyway, I heard this, and I'm like, whoa, okay. But then above the commode was a access door. And this room it's all mostly original. And I saw this small panel door about maybe 3 feet off the ground above the toilet. And I looked at it, and I'm like, well, I wonder where that leads to. I have a curious mind sometimes, so I open the door. It's unlocked. It's just a simple little latch, and I open it. And then once I did that, this breath of warm air came in. I would say maybe cool air, actually. It was 15 years ago, more or less. Anyhow, I'd say 12 years ago. So I felt this breeze and this smell of old suitcases and kind of that dank, musty, dusty, old smell that is associated with historic homes and buildings that are more or less original. And I recognized that smell, and it wasn't exactly like an old suitcase, but it was in that ballpark. But I recognized that, but then I could also see from the light coming in from the bathroom into the crawl space was the curvature of the ceiling dome for the theater and all the structural work supporting the ballroom above, and the ceiling is actually suspended by wires and cables. And so that was really neat to see some of the architectural structure, but when the door was opened, I could hear the music more. I could hear the organ being played, and I instantly recognized the tune. The tune is a famous piece from the 1930s, and that would be Stairway to the Stars. And not to be mistaken by the famous rock piece, Stairway to Heaven. So, Stairway to the Stars was a very popular piece. And it's a very lovely piece. And I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. Wow, that's really neat. Someone must be in the theater playing the organ for a movie or for a show that I was not aware of. Well, I closed the door and I just kind of let that sink in, and I walked out and I grabbed my things, some of the things I needed for going into town, and I turned off the light and closed the door. Well, I met up with the band, and I saw my friend, the leader of the band, and we were sitting there talking, I says, funny thing happened to me. That's really nice coffee. And he says, oh, what's that? He says, well, I was using the restroom, and I heard music. I heard the Wurlitzer being played. And he's like, you did? I'm like, yes, I did. And then I opened this door, this access door to a crawl space or whatnot, and I could hear the music even more so, and I recognized the tune. It was Stairway to the Stars. He's like, oh. Well, that's interesting. I'm like, yeah. I says, do you know anyone who was playing the theater organ when we were there after the sound check? And he's like, no. I says, no. And he's a theater organist himself, too. He's very well known. And he would know anyone that would be playing in that theater at that moment. And there's really only maybe one person that actually does play it, or maybe two, that actually live on Avalon. Most people come to the island and perform there and then go back to Los Angeles or their respective living spaces. But he says there was nobody in the theater when you heard that. The silent movie that usually plays on Saturdays was over hours prior to that, and no one was in the theater playing the organ. How about that? Catalina Ballroom, or the Avalon Casino as it's formerly known, has more stories along those lines. Many. If you ever visit Avalon Catalina, and you do attend a film there or another event, talk to some of the employees. You might be surprised what you hear. Places like that have experienced high volume of people, dancers, partygoers, people looking for escape during the Depression and through the war years and into the 50s and 60s. The human soul does leave an imprint on structures. Whether you can say it's a haunting or maybe history just repeating itself in a recorded fashion, you choose, you decide what that is, but it will manifest itself to certain people, and I think that building is kind of alive, and it will choose people who it reveals its secrets to. Think about it. So, on to the next story. The Bad Caddy. Going a little further back, the year 2006. Correction, 2005. The location, Yucaipa, California. The place, Curtis Ranch. Good friend of mine and subscriber lives out there, and he's a collector. He has many wonderful things that a lot of people are aware of, and a lot of our mutual friends go out and visit. He has many antique cars, and he also has a wonderful collection of many different items. I mentioned, I think, this friend of mine in other Halloween content, but at one time he purchased a 1946 Cadillac hearse. This hearse is complete, mostly original, and I was kind of amazed at it. It's a beautiful car. It's unrestored, but it also has its early automatic transmission. Cadillac introduced the automatic transmission in about 1941, and this car had the original motor, and it came from a mortuary, I believe in Oregon, but he bought it for a fair price and he wanted to have it. I'm sorry, I'm losing a little bit of light here. My Acme Inspector is losing oil. I had enough in there, but anyways, you're just going to have to deal with the dark here. Maybe I'll move the coffin corner up here. There we go. That's a little better. All right. So, the Cadillac. He got it running. And he's very capable with getting things back to running condition. He's mechanically inclined, and he knows how to whispers. And he got it dialed in, plugs replaced, oil flushed and changed, and fuel replaced, and lines checked and everything. He actually drove this car several times around town out there, and he enjoyed the car for a while. He also has a friend that would go out there and visit, and this young lady, they were just good friends, and she would stay up late. And for those who know this friend of mine, well, we stay up late out there, and it's just what we do. But anyways, she would spend the night, as well as many other people that would stay up late, and we'd just all crash on the couch. But this friend of his, who I know as well, but I don't disclose their names, but she would sleep on the couch and sometimes wake up late at night, or technically early in the morning, and would see shadows on the property moving about. One shadow in particular was a slender, dark shadow of a man wearing a hat, similar to this. And he would stand around the hearse, and eventually the shadow would come up to the large bay window in the living room and would look into the house. This friend of his is very in tune and very sensitive to, well, whatever is beyond the veil. And she witnessed a lot of things at that house, besides just this hatted, dark figure, shadow person. Well, a little more time goes on, and my friend decides to sell the Cadillac hearse to acquire something else. That's what he does sometimes. If he has a car he enjoys it for a bit, and then he'll put it up for sale and buy something else that he desires. A lot of car people do that. Well, as I said, he got the car running. It was healthy. It was a good motor. Car ran. It was tuned in. Was very reliable. Would start just like that. Well, when it came to the day where the car was going to be picked up, he couldn't start the car. And his friend was there at the time, and she actually got to sit. He says, "Here, sit in the car, see if you can start it." And she tried to start it, and it wouldn't start. They spent some time trying to start this car. It wouldn't start. But not only that, when she tried to get out of the car, when she tried to open the driver door, even though the door was unlocked, it was not opening. Yeah, it was not opening. And they made sure the door was unlocked. It was unlocked. The door would not open. The car wouldn't start, and the door wouldn't open. So she had to find another way out of the car. And if memory serves me right, she went out the back exit door from the hearse section, or the passenger door, but I think it was the tail, but my friend will have to correct me if I'm wrong. But they looked at all the systems. They looked at the fuel lines. They looked at the spark plugs, the plug wires, the condenser, the points, everything. They looked at a lot of different contributing factors that would cause the car not to start. There was no signs of foul play. There was no reason the car wouldn't start. It just wouldn't start. Well, the new owner shows up, and they still couldn't get the car to start, so they had to winch it up onto a flatbed and haul it away. Which is kind of embarrassing when you sell a car that's supposed to drive and start and run and do normal functions, that it won't start when you're there to pick it up. But we all feel whatever that shadow person was that hung around that car, it didn't want to leave the property. It felt connected to the property and the car just did not want to leave. Kind of reminds me of a certain 58 Plymouth Fury they made a very famous movie about. Well, this hearse didn't cause any terror. It definitely had a soul of its own, or a soul connected to it. Not only buildings can be haunted or possessed, but automobiles too. Because if you think about it, as well as homes and structures, you have a lot of emotional energy. People gather there for joy, celebration, or mourning, or what have you. All the different lists of emotions that we all experience in our lives. A car, that's a personal item, kind of like a pipe. Someone buys a car, it's usually one person that drives it, that it connects with it. It's a sense of freedom and liberation from one location. You can get in it and leave in any direction you wish, as long as it's paved in most cases. But it's freedom, and there's an emotional connection that one will have with an automobile. Whether it's a classic or a new car, you still have that connection. You build a relationship with this machine, and you put your faith and dependability in one thing. That's emotion. It can stay with a car. It can. And if the car was, involved in a wonderful experience, driving off on your wedding day, or to the hospital to deliver your first child, and all the different experiences we have in our lives, a car, in most cases, is involved. The family car, a favorite automobile. So it makes sense that sometimes things will be connected to it. And then, well, in the case of a hearse, that is everyone's last ride in most cases. So I hope you enjoyed these two stories that I prepared and thought about and wanted to present to you guys. I was hoping I would get some submissions from some of my subscribers, but alas, that didn't happen this year. But maybe next year. So, as I said, I'll still extend that invite. Anyone that has any stories or experiences about the supernatural, paranormal stuff, by all means, don't hesitate. I'd be interested to hear. So, well, guys, I'm going to continue enjoying this pipe of mine. I hope you enjoyed this installment of our Halloween content. So tonight's video will be in place of my Thursday content. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you had a safe and fun and spooky Halloween. Here's to you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.